All right, we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Pole Hook Golf, the podcast. I'm getting quite the echo. What about you, Ryan? Can you hear that big echo?
I cannot. I don't hear it, but must be on your end. I don't hear it.
Let me, let me try this again here. You know, you gotta love it sometimes when you're live and things. Yeah, everything is bouncing right back to me. Give me 1 second here, everybody. We'll get the audience on here as well. All right, let's see. Oh, there we go. No more echo. Oh, you know what? There is an echo. And it might be coming from, let's see. Well, here we go, folks. We're going to begin. We're just going to roll with it in case it goes. Welcome back, everybody, to Pole Hook Golf, the podcast. Tonight, we've got a very special guest in Ryan French here from the Monday Q. Whew, I cannot wait for us to get into this interview. It is going to be an absolute blast, I should say. So, first off, I want to give a thank you to Swannies, our sponsor. And with that, with Swannies, actually, I just found out what the heck is going on here. Give me 1 second here, Ryan. Sorry about that. This is actually the first time that I have run into this. There we go. All right. Apologies, everybody. We're going to restart it here. So, welcome back, everybody, to Pull Hook Golf, the podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cook, and tonight we've got a very special guest, Monday Q Zone, Ryan French. And before we do dive into this interview, because I'm really interested in what we're going to be going over today, I always love it when I get to find out new information about, the inner workings of some of these things like Monday qualifiers. So that being said, I do want to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Swannies Golf. Folks, the Golden Lake collection has just dropped, which I'm wearing tonight. I've got the Lucas quarter zip on in navy blue. I've got the Bailey polo underneath. And make sure to go to swannies.co. Use promo code PoleHookGolf25 for 25% off your entire order. Yeah, folks, not just one item. We're talking about the entire order, 25% off at swannies.co. And feel free, folks, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. Drop in some comments for us if you would like to have a question be brought up on air at the end. But without further ado, here we go, Ryan. Let's get right into it, man. So I want to hear a little bit about your journey, especially into the world of golf. How'd you get started in all of this?
Yeah. I grew up on a golf course, Matt. And so, I played golf pretty young. Our backyard was a little municipal course in the town I currently live. And I played community college golf and tried to walk on at a 4-year school. And that was kind of my wake up call that I wasn't very good. And, uh, and then I've just always been a golf nerd my whole life. So, um, kind of looking in Golf Week magazine in the back of the Detroit Free Press, looking up and down leaderboards. And then fast forward many years, my dad and I used to go on a caddy trip every year and go on a mini tour and caddy. And so that was definitely my inside look into what life was like for players that aren't playing on the PGA Tour or LPGA Tour.
I feel like a lot of golf fans miss all these great stories that come from the Corn Ferry Tour or Monday qualifiers. And it's really neat because Bobby Brown, co-host here on Pull Hook Golf, he's the one that introduced me to your Twitter account or X now. What is the proper terminology now? Is it just calling it X? Do people know what you're
It's
talking
always
about?
going to be Twitter to me. I don't know. A tweet sounds better than a post. I don't know. So I just go with Twitter and tweet at all times.
Love that. So Twitter, it is. It's official, folks. It is Twitter. Holy cow. Not sure what happened there, Ryan. Gotta love live shows and
Yeah,
technology. You know,
tech is
sometimes
great.
things drop out. That's actually the first time that one's happened to me. So I think that was more on my end than anything. I'm not quite sure. But as we were talking about it, you know what it was? We're also live on Twitter. That might be what it is, or X. And Elon must have heard that we
They
said
heard you.
Twitter,
Yeah,
and it all just got shut down there for a hot
yeah,
minute.
yeah.
But getting back into your journey into the game of golf, what made you decide to start covering these Monday qualifiers?
Yeah. So, long story short, after our caddy trips, I had met a bunch of guys caddied just here and there, never as a full time job, and was following Monday qualifiers. And uh, let's see, 6 years ago now, my son had brain surgery, and so um, he was 2. I left my job to kind of, uh, just take care of him for a little bit. My intention was to like take 6 weeks off, and I started a Twitter account to like my original idea was just to have the scoring links for Monday qualifiers. Uh, for those listening, they're all on different websites every week, and so the first idea was just to have all Monday qualifiers just on one page, and so started a Twitter account, and somehow I've never gone back to work. And here I am covering Monday qualifiers 6 years later.
that is that is an incredible. I mean, one to just kind of be like, oh, you know what? Let me start doing this. And it is true that when you find something that people want and that people are interested in, to where all these different leaderboards and everything were all over the place, because I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have known where to go necessarily. I mean, I've been in golf as a golf professional, as a playing professional as well. And certainly I'm like, hang on a second. I probably would have figured it out over time to go to the sections and so forth and try to figure that out. But to be honest with you, to have somebody like yourself to put this together, what a solution to an awesome thing to follow, because some of the best storylines come out of some of these Monday qualifiers. I was only at one last year for the Shriners, and I mean, there were like 3 great stories that came out of that Monday qualifier, even with good old Steiny. Which, that's his nickname. Why can't I think of his name off the top of my head? Um, Oh gosh, where he hit it out of bounds and ended up missing it by a shot. But that was, gosh, why can't I think of his name? I played a Monday qualifier with him for the BC Open way back when.
I can't
Uh,
think of his name. Yeah.
it's Bobby knows him as Steiny. It's smokes a lot of or used to smoke a lot of cigarettes on
Okay.
the golf
Oh,
course.
Spencer Levine?
Yes, thank you. That's
Oh,
the only way I could
oh,
remember it.
yeah, yeah,
For
yeah.
some reason, the name was
Yeah.
just blank there for a moment.
No, that's all right. Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, good old Spencer Levine.
Yeah.
Gosh, he hit the cart path apparently, went out of bounds, and yeah. But it's really cool. So I do have. I'm curious because you've been doing it for 6 years, so you must have some really cool stories of some Monday qualifiers and so forth. But one thing in particular, like, what's your favorite moment or story from a Monday qualifier that you can remember over the 6 years?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many good ones that, there's guys that shouldn't qualify that do. I use a story a lot. A guy named Todd Belkin, who was a pizza manager and an assistant pro, off and on, like just a true regular Joe, and had 2 rounds of his life. He played a great pre-qualifier and played a great Monday qualifier and got into the AT&T Byron Nelson. And he missed the cut by a billion, but it doesn't matter. I texted him on Friday after he missed the cut, and I said, how was your week? And he was like, it was unbelievable. I got to play practice rounds with PGA Tour members. So I think they don't get as much publicity, but I think that's a cool part of Monday qualifiers. And then obviously Corey Connors won the Valero Texas Open. Uh, you know, uh, I mean, there's tons of stories out there um, from Monday qualifiers. It's a very unique thing in sports.
Yeah, you don't really get to just go on a Monday and go try to play for an NBA basketball team or for the New York Yankees, you know? It's not exactly like that in other sports, so it is unique to the game of golf. And that does make me all of a sudden immediately think of some of the other topics that we can go down that path on with LIV Golf and so forth, and how things might be changing and so forth. But we'll get to that towards the end, folks. We always leave the LIV Golf stuff towards the end as one of the fan favorite topics, whether you love them or hate them. But that being said, having just that journey of being able to qualify into into a PGA Tour event, because I think you said it right there, is that just that journey is so exciting to so many people that get the chance to do it that it doesn't even matter if they make the cut or not.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just very unique in sports. There's not a way to get into the NFL. There's not, outside of the traditional ways that you think of. Uh, this is truly a regular joke and teed up in a PGA Tour event. Obviously, the odds are super stacked against you. There's tons of very, very talented pros, PGA Tour winners, PGA Tour members at Monday qualifiers. So the odds are, slim to none, but there is a chance, and it happens every once in a while. And for the pros that are there, you can change your career, change your life in one week. Doc Redman did it. Russell Knox did it. JT Poston's done it. Corey Connors has obviously done it. There's tons and tons of pros who you now think of that are regulars on the PGA Tour that were chasing Mondays for a long time. I use one, the Northern Trust, which is now the Genesis, used to have a Monday qualifier, and Tony Finau was young, but he had been a pro for 5 or 6 years. He beat exactly 0 players in the Northern Trust Monday qualifier, shot 82 or 83 and beat 0 players. So if you go back and look at old Monday qualifying scores, which I do a lot, you're going to be like, oh, I can't believe he was there. I use one from a Corn Ferry Monday in Utah. It's a very easy course. It's one of the easiest courses all year in a Monday qualifier. And they take 8 spots, and 2 guys tied for 18th, and shot 65 and missed by 2. You needed a 3 a 63 to get in, and it was Scotty Scheffler and Will Zalatoris. And so those
Wow.
guys have done okay for themselves since then. So Mondays are hard, but there's a lot of future or past talent often in each field.
Yeah, I was going to follow up with who are some of the guys that were really surprising to see on Monday Q leaderboards that now are big names, and you just shared it. Scotty Scheffler, Will Zalatoris, Tony Finau. So it is kind of a way of young guys trying to make their way onto the PGA Tour, whether because Corn Ferry Tour players can play in Monday qualifiers. Like you said, an average Joe can go play. I think you have to have, what is it, a 3 handicap to
Yeah, two.
participate, a
Yeah,
2
a two.
handicap.
Yeah.
Gosh, and I'm trying to get my handicap up so I can start winning money again from some of these guys. But that being said, you are also a very big Corn Ferry fan, and I think that goes hand in hand with the Monday Q stuff. But why are you such a big Corn Ferry Tour fan? I think I saw a tweet recently from you that you said just how big of a fan you are and how great of these stories they are. So, I mean, why? Tell everybody, why are you such a big Corn Ferry fan?
Yeah. I say it all the time, Matt, is like on the PGA Tour, if there's not often a life-changing or career-changing win. Um, Chris Kirk obviously has been through stuff, but he has money. It's not gonna the win last week is not gonna change his life in any drastic way. Grayson Murray, a little bit different, probably definitely changes the trajectory of his career. But every week on the Corn Ferry Tour, or most every week, is a career defining or career changing, life changing win. In a regular Corn Ferry season, if you win, you're basically locking up your PGA Tour card. You have to play decent the rest of the year, but one win and you're in real good shape to get your PGA Tour card. And a lot of these guys have been grinding for years trying to get to their PGA Tour, and then they tap in for the win on Sunday, and their dream is kind of realized that they've done it. And so, I'm not, that just doesn't happen on the PGA Tour week to week. If Scotty wins a regular season event, if Rory wins, it's just not going to change their life in any significant way whatsoever. And that's different on the PGA Tour or on the Corn Ferry Tour. Um, Jeremy Paul and Kevin Roy are tied for the lead. The final round is tomorrow in the Bahamas. And, Kevin lost his PGA Tour card, didn't play well on the PGA Tour last year. Will get back if he wins. Jeremy Paul was playing on the Outlaw Tour, a mini tour in Arizona
Oh yeah.
for a long time. So, again, I just love it because most weeks you're going to see some sort of career defining, life changing, career changing for sure win.
God, you're pumping me up about the Corn Ferry Tour. I'm like, we need to cover it better than we do. Come on now. This is, you get those feel good stories. Are there any that really kind of come to mind that kind of blow you away in terms of like somebody's journey that they were able to either Monday qualifier or through the Corn Ferry Tour end up getting and have those life changing moments? I know you mentioned a couple, but are there any big ones that kind of stand out to you?
Yeah. I mean, a guy who has become a friend of mine, Tom Whitney, went to the Air Force, went to the Air Force Academy, served in a nuclear missile pad after for 4 years, then turned pro. His wife is still active. They have 4 children. Just a very unusual journey. Tom lost his best friend, who was his brother, to suicide. They're just a great family. I've been lucky enough to spend a lot of time with them. And, he turned pro 10 years ago and gained his Corn Ferry card, lost it, had to go back to Latin America and play. And he did this all with, multiple children, which there's almost no one on the Corn Ferry Tour that hasn't had PGA Tour status that is playing with, children. It's just, for those listening that don't know, playing on the Corn Ferry Tour is not a way to make money. And so it just takes a true village in Tom's case to make it work. His in-laws, his parents have been amazingly helpful. So he's probably the best story. But again, it happens all the time. Sean O'Hare is chasing the Corn Ferry Tour. Just saw Jim Herman's in this field. Tag Ridings is 49 years old, 48 years old, still chasing it, still can hit it a mile. And again, the mix of that is what I love.
Yeah, you have so much diversity out there on the Corn Ferry Tour, and like you said, I mean, what are the average purses out there on the Corn Ferry Tour nowadays? I can't even remember the last time I looked at that.
Yeah, they've grown the last 2 years. I mean, they're a million now, but again, if you're finishing 60th on the money list, you're not making a ton of money. Uh,
Mm.
so they've definitely done a great job of improving it. But you go to 5 countries in the first 5 weeks. These first 2 weeks are in the Bahamas. You're probably, depending on who you have caddy, you're probably 10 grand in the hole if you miss a couple cuts. So, um, again, don't feel sorry for these guys. They play professional golf for a living. Not asking you that, but I do want to give people a realistic look of what their life looks like.
Yeah, I mean, back when it was the nationwide tour, I had one of the interviews. I want to say it was in December. I brought on Blake Parks, who we played college golf together at Grand Canyon University, and he made it through the Q school, makes it onto nationwide, and only made a couple cuts, but all the expenses. And he's like, because I was playing mini tours at the time, he's just like, Matt, you like stay playing the mini tours because I'm telling you right now, I'm so far in debt because of all the travel, the stay, and everything. And he's like, of course, I'm thinking I'm gonna make all this money and everything. And so it wasn't a glamorous lifestyle, but I mean, even the mini tours below the nationwide, you hear a bunch of stories of guys living in their cars. I had Kevin Streelman on. He was talking about the fact that he was basically living in his mom's car for quite some time until he met his wife, and his wife's dad asked me, he's like, "Are you really a professional golfer?" He's like, "I don't see you on TV." He's like, that was a wake up call. So, sometimes you need that little motivation, but I feel like a lot of these guys, there's so many guys that have the game to play on the PGA Tour that it really takes that just an opportunity for them to get there. Do you feel like that's more Corn Ferry Tour or more Monday qualifiers that kind of provide that opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you get the Corn Ferry Tour, you want to take that. It's a season to prove that you belong. But there's debate about whether the Corn Ferry Tour and the courses they play produce the best players. They aren't getting on a lot of great courses. They're improving, but there's a lot of pitch and putts, and PGA Tour courses aren't like that. So, are you getting the best 30 players? Uh, the answer is probably no, but it's the path forward, so you got to figure it out. But Monday qualifying is really hard, but 1 week can change your life. So yeah, I mean, all players are going to take Corn Ferry status and try to figure it out, but plenty of players have done it via the Mondays, and so that's why you see 100 guys show up for 4 spots.
What's the lowest Monday Q score you saw?
Yeah, there's been I mean, just this year, uh, in a Corn Ferry Monday, a guy shot a bogey free 64 and missed. He lost in a playoff. So it's
That's
not
tough.
it's not for the faint of heart. And
No.
yeah, again, Corn Ferry Mondays play easier courses, but
Okay.
that means more players are in the mix because it doesn't harder courses separate the field. Easier courses bring the field together. So I've always said Corn Ferry Tour Mondays are harder than PGA Tour Mondays for sure. And yeah, you shoot 66 at a Corn Ferry Monday. You don't need to check scores very often. You can probably just head to your car.
Yeah. D- don't don't shoot a 68 and think you're getting in. That's
No,
for sure.
That's for sure.
Now, what is the most polarizing story that you have seen either recently? I know you were in some drama on Twitter recently and so forth. I mean, that just comes with the territory, right? Of being like
Yeah.
authentic and being honest about what you're seeing and experiencing of players that are out there. But what's kind of the most polarizing story you've covered?
Yeah. I mean, I've covered cheating stories. I've covered Alejandro Tosti, who, has struggled with his temper, and I wrote that story. Uh, you know, as I've ventured into telling, I don't know, negative stories or whatever, yeah, part of the territory is some people are going to be pissed off about it, and that's okay. Part of the deal. I work hard on my reporting. I try to be fair to everybody involved and go from there. As far as cheating stories, I think they're important to tell because it's unfortunately happens too often in the professional game. Uh, but I think again, there's so many negative stories written about the top players in the world. I happen to be the only person that covers the only media member that covers players that really, below the top 100 in the world. So I get a lot of the hate because I'm the only one writing them. But that's all right. It's part
Yeah.
of the deal. And again, I've worked hard to be I'm a terrible writer, but thank God for good editors. And but I think I report stories pretty well, and I'll continue to do that and continue to learn. I'm new to this journalism thing, but uh, yeah, hate's part of it. As you grow, uh, you're going to get people who are mad or jealous or don't like this or don't like that. I look under Andy from the Fried Egg and No Laying Up. Those guys have grown their businesses like crazy, bigger than mine, and worked their ass off to do it. And now they get part of the hate, but they've been wildly successful, and I'm working to get there.
I definitely think if you got some haters, you kind of have made it. I mean, we had some early on because I had Mikey Perez as one of my very first co-hosts, Pat's brother, and man, we in the beginning, neither of us knew what the hell we were really doing. So that was just a whole bunch of debauchery, and there were haters from the very beginning. We have one person that I'm going to disclose at some point, but it is a YouTube person that they go on every single YouTube episode, and there's only one person, which I guess that's kind of disappointing that there's only one, but it's always one that does the thumbs down on
Oh
every
yeah,
single episode.
sure,
They
sure.
they missed one though, so I'm proud about that. But no, if you have haters, that comes with the territory, obviously. You're not always going to write the positive story and everything, which kind of gets to a poll that we threw out there today around are you sick and tired of the negativity from both sides, whether PGA Tour or LIV Golf, in this whole entire thing? And I wonder what your stance is. Are you kind of tired of all the, one-sidedness on one side or the other and just the constant battling that's been going on?
Yeah, I think we all are as a golf fan. Uh, yeah, as a reporter, again, you can't post anything either pro live or pro tour or negative tour or negative live and not be called, a tour stand or a live stand. Like I try my best. I have not been perfect, not trying to pretend like try my best to be unbiased and it's impossible and it gets annoying. And I think it's just not even from a personal perspective. We're just all tired of who's going where and what the thing is. Pro golf is pretty gross right now.
Yeah.
$600 million, and this person's getting 100 million, and this person's getting four. And how do we get more to the top player? It's just kind of gross. And it's honestly, I have a big tip that I would never put out. Like I'm just tired of it. like normally I'd be so excited about this scoop that I have, and I'm not even going to deal with it. I'm going to let someone else do it because I'm just going to concentrate more on what I do. Like part of me has to do that, but yeah, pro golf needs to figure it out. Uh, I read quickly that the ratings were down for the Tournament of Champions and those kind of things. Live doesn't get a ton of, gets almost no viewers, 100,000 or 94,000 average or whatever. Like I think a lot of that says that people are just sick of all of this. And I point a lot to kart versus IRL for the open wheel racing fans. I mean, it ruined open wheel racing. It's never recovered. And the longer this goes on, the more likely that LIV and PGA Tour become kart versus IRL. And I'm afraid for the future of pro golf. Yeah, the top part of pro golf stinks right now. All there is to it.
I couldn't agree with you more. That is exactly my stance on it too. I'm like, guys, if we go too far in this entire thing to where it becomes so polarizing that especially the new audience that golf had because of COVID. It's
Yep.
like during the pandemic, we gained so many additional participants and new people, and now they get this as their world of professional golf. And it has turned a lot of people away. They're just like, I'm not going to watch. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's disappointing.
I mean, I have a good friend, Chris. I mean, he is a golf nerd, knows everyone. And he's like, I'm out. I just can't do it. I'll watch for the majors. I'll read about it. But like that, the days of sitting on a Sunday afternoon and watching the farmers or, the waste management, he's like, I just can't do it anymore. And if we lose, I haven't talked to enough golf fans. I don't think it's a huge problem yet, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah.
And guys like my friend Chris is, he is an avid golfer, plays golf all the time, loves golf, and now he's like, man, I'm just sick of all of it. And I'll still read about it. I'll still see who won. I'll still check scores, but am I going to sit down for 3 or 4 hours and watch a regular season event? Yeah, probably not. And that's the fans we're losing. And I think there's a shelf life on it. I think everybody is very tired of it.
Couldn't agree more. I've had multiple people tell me that are golf fans that are like, it's becoming tennis. To what you just mentioned with Chris, I'm just going to watch the majors. That's all it's becoming, is about 4 majors. And that's disappointing. It's like, man, we really need to get back to where there is a peace treaty between everybody. But we'll get into LIV Golf a little bit later on. I like to leave it towards the end because it sometimes it can get a little bit depressing. And it's like, all right, let's hang in there. We got some good stuff still to go over. And one of those is that let's talk about the PGA Tour winner so far in 2024. You're somebody that I can tell just based on your reporting and everything that you like these great journeys and stories that come from Ferry Tour or Monday qualifiers, or in this case, our first 2 winners of 2024 have had incredible journeys. Like Chris Kirk, I don't think people realize how many times this guy has actually won on tour, but was also just struggled big time with alcoholism before getting back into the winner circle. And I wonder what your thoughts are on now that he is, on a great path in life and like really focused back on golf. I mean, how good is Chris Kirk really?
Yeah. I mean, I think guys like Chris, Russell Henley, those guys have very underappreciated careers. Badley has won 4 times and plays Monday qualifiers. He started to play better last year. It's like those guys to win multiple times on the PGA Tour is like you're in a you're already in a tiny percentage to be on the PGA Tour. To win once, you're even tinier, but to win multiple times like those guys have is rarefied. Like just really, as golf fans, including myself, we just underappreciate it too often. So I'm sure that when last week or 2 weeks ago was super special just because from place he is in his life. He's been open about his depression and his alcoholism and his recovery from that. So yeah, I'm sure that was near the top, if not the top of his wins, just from a personal standpoint.
Absolutely. And then last week, Grayson Murray wins the Sony Open, which we're between Bobby and Bobby's talked a lot about Grayson because he's been on Grayson's bag before. So have a lot of people in Bobby's circle and everything have gone and been on Grayson's bag. You had Kip Henley come out and say, I really missed out on being on his bag for this win. But I saw him, and I mentioned it to Bobby. I'm like, Bobby, he looks jacked right now on the Corn Ferry Tour. Like, he's gotten his stuff together, huh? And upon further review, yeah, he's got clean, got into the gym, and really started to focus in. And he gained a confidence that I don't even know if he knew was there. Being on the Corn Ferry Tour last year and how closely you look at and follow the Corn Ferry Tour, are you impressed by Grayson and what he's been able to do as well?
Yeah, I think that uh, it's a lot harder for guys when they are on the PGA Tour, win, and then have to go back and play on the Corn Ferry Tour. If they go up to the PGA Tour and just don't keep their card and come back, it's still hard. I'm not trying to discount that, but being a winner, thinking you're going to be up there forever, and then having to come back, it just doesn't often work out where you get back to winning again on the PGA Tour. Um, and so, yeah, he was struggling for multiple years. It seems that off the course stuff was probably the biggest issue. And, he said that he's clean and that's great. He said the Bermuda uh, accident was kind of a low point in his life, and hopefully he's cleaned up his act. Grayson has pissed off a lot of people for sure. Grayson and I have had our run-ins also, but like I can't say that people don't deserve a second chance. And he was pretty open about his struggles, and so hopefully he can continue on that path, not only on the golf course but off of it.
For sure. With you there. I don't even have a follow-up question to that one because that was such a good response there, Ryan. Well done there. But is there, between the two of them, do you expect one to be better than the other this year? I'm just curious to hear if you are leaning towards being more of a Chris Kirk guy or more of a Grayson Murray this year.
Grayson has really played well over the last 12 months. He won twice in the Corn Ferry Tour last year. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's early season, and it looks like he's, he changed caddies and changed equipment companies when he got back to the PGA Tour. That usually adds up to a bad deal. Guys have done that, and it hasn't worked out. But he changed both and won in his first start. So it doesn't seem like it's affected him. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him play well.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. Now, one thing that Grayson has in the bag that I've seen from a bunch of guys, especially over the past year, are these lab putters. So I'm actually going to have in a couple of weeks Sam from Lab to come on and kind of give me the breakdown into all this stuff because I've heard some of the YouTube videos and stuff. But what are your thoughts in regards to just like from a putting standpoint, this lab putter kind of taken off? We kind of saw it with the Odyssey putter after Wyndham and then Ricky, but these lab putters are kind of a different situation here. They're kind of getting into the hands of everybody on tour.
Yeah, I'm not an equipment geek, but they seem to be like everybody who uses them preaches like that they really love them. There's just not a lot of clubs that you go up like, hey, what kind of wedges in there? Like they just tell you, or what kind of putter you use? I use this, but like you talk to a guy who's a lab putter guy, and he's like, he wants to be a salesman to you and tell you how great it is. So there must be something to it.
That's what I'm curious. That's why I had to
Yeah,
invite Sam on. I'm like, come on, man. Let's get on the pond. Let's talk about this because I need to figure this out. Shoot, I
yeah.
might need to put one in my bag if it's that good. Now, as we kind of move beyond the PGA Tour and the first couple winners, I have a new segment that I do with our sponsor, Swannies, which is the Swanee Style segment. And so far in 2024, this segment has not disappointed because there have been clothing topics abroad. And really, I mean, you mentioned one of those groups in No Laying Up, and they came under some fire with some comments that they made about, golf clothing, the Malbun with Jason Day, and more specifically, the streetwear side of it, and they hated it. They didn't want this in golf at all, and a lot of people started coming at them quite a bit, especially on Twitter. So I'm curious to hear. Grant, I just set this all up for you. So, but no, are you a fan of seeing streetwear out there on tour like Melbourne, or is this kind of we're going a little bit too far here, folks?
No, I don't. I mean, honestly, man, I want to belong to a club. I I play at a municipal course in my hometown, and like I live in a blue collar town. I'm talking like guys show up in NASCAR t-shirts and jeans. Uh, I love it. Like I don't want to. It I like. Do I like Jason Days? No, but I don't give a shit if someone else does like it and wants to wear it. All the power to them. Uh, I've been lucky enough to have a clothing sponsor the last little bit, Dunning. They've been awesome to me, but they also send me hoodies, and like I go out 90% of the time I play golf is shorts and a hoodie or shorts and a t-shirt. So uh, I am definitely not one to criticize uh, other people's clothes because I'm just not I'm not a golf shirt, iron pants, perfectly uh, uh, you know, perfect every time. Like there's a place for that, and I love it. But I want to belong to a place where you do it. I surely can't. Golf's super boring and super stiff, and if people want to push the envelope, so be it. Like, do I like Melbourne? Did I like Jason Day's pants? No. Do I give a shit that he wore it? That's great. Good for him.
All I said was we got to add some pleats to those pants because I mean those things were just baggy without pleats. We need to bring back some baggy pleats in there. I love, by the way, the streetwear because I was a public golf course kid. I never belonged to a country club. Family couldn't afford it, so I was always along the lines of I love seeing people out there and even a t-shirt. I mean, shoot, I've got no issues with it whatsoever. I love when people can show off kind of their fashion sense and be who they are because a lot of times people's personalities come out in their clothing. And that's what I like about golf, kind of the diversification now with styles and everything, and hoodies being a part of it. And I was a big basketball kid growing up. So before I ever got into golf, I was all basketball. So I love seeing the Air Jordans out there, the sneakers, the AJ1s. I'm a bit of a sneakerhead myself. So I love that you said that. I didn't mean to tee it up the way that I did to kind of be like, hey, if you go against streetwear right now, people are going to come after you. But no. And then even with Swanee's, our sponsor, it's like, they're big on the untucked golf shirt and they make it so that it fits really good like that. So I'm all about it. And I really don't mind seeing the streetwear and I love seeing different stuff out there. Now, the other part to this segment, we got a good old goat out there in Tiger Woods who there's a lot of speculation around his next apparel partner and who's it's going to be. There's a photo out there where he's carrying some Travis Matthews gear. Now, the question is, what are your thoughts? Where do you think Tiger should go? Now,
I
you
think
could
he's
say
going.
Dunning.
I think he's going to Grayson. That's my guess. But
Yeah?
I mean, Tiger can probably go where he wants or start his own thing. He still has plenty of pull. So my guess is Grayson. Charlie has some.
Yep.
Is a Grayson fan, and I would not be surprised to see him at Grayson.
And they got JT, JT and Tiger, we know their history, so I like that. I actually don't mind Travis Matthew either for him, but I do think Grayson will probably be it unless he launches his own line. I don't know. This was kind of a surprise. Like I didn't hear anything last year leading into this departure between Tiger and Nike. So I wonder if it was a surprise for Tiger and he just couldn't get a brand put together that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't. Like, top players are not my gig, but it is a surprise. I think Dan Rappaport did a thing. It just seems like Nike never really, built out the Tiger Woods brand. They had some Tiger Woods stuff, but it seems like they left a lot of money behind in that. And now, maybe because he's older and they didn't do that, it was time to get out of it. But yeah, Tiger still has plenty of pull. I'm sure there are plenty of companies lining up at his agent's door to get him signed.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg said he's the only athlete that he believes is worth every penny. So we'll see who Tiger ends up with a new clothing sponsor or partner, and that wraps up the style segment. I won't take it any further. We've got the American Express. That is this week. Now, this is a closed event, so you don't have the opportunity for Monday qualifiers to get in there. Do you like that? Do you like that the PGA Tour doesn't always have Monday qualifiers?
I mean, this is a very biased answer, but I hate it.
Yeah.
So, especially, again, before it's too long to get into it, but signature events are not my thing. But the American Express, like no top pros, a lot of top pros are skipping it. So why would you not have there's too many invitationals, too many signature events, too many closed. Like let's give guys some opportunity. So no, I hate it.
Well, your opinion is also everybody that I've talked to, every pro that is out here in the Scottsdale area feels the exact same way. And that's weird because like even some guys that are in these events and they're like hate them. Absolutely hate them. And I feel like that's like the majority, but that kind of gets into too who's making these decisions. Player policy board, you start looking at that. And that leads us into the next question. Who do you like this week for the American Express? You got anybody?
A sleeper, a hopeful pick is Hayden Springer. Hayden's got a great story. He just lost his daughter. Him and his wife just lost their daughter. It's one of my favorite stories in golf. He's a wonderful family and a wonderful Emma, his wife. They just lost their daughter, Sage, and just an amazing family and a good dude and pulling for me. Got through Q school after really not playing, and this is his first event. So my long shot special would be Hayden. I'm going to say JT Poston's going to win, but okay. I hope Hayden wins.
That's strong. That's very strong. I like that. Yeah. I actually, this week, I really, really like, God damn it, I hate to say it, Sungjae. Good old Sungjae.
Oh, yeah.
I just
Willie's on the bag. It's all right.
Willie is. Willie's got a hell of a story. I mean, he was supposed to be on the podcast last year, and then Foreplay got a hold of him, and he's been off air since. So we'll get Willie on here at some point. But he's got a crazy story and just his journey back to now being a caddy and being successful with it, and how he got onto Sungjae's bag. That was a whole nother story in and of itself. Kind of little controversy around that. But yeah, it's with him and Sungjae seem to be vibing, and even where he's telling Sungjae to start blowing putts past 3 feet. And Sungjae's making some more putts, so Willie's onto something there.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, we're happy for Willie. Good dude.
He is. Now, with that said, we're going to push into LIV Golf. And here we go, Ryan. This is your chance. Let everybody know, because you mentioned it earlier, but where do you stand on LIV Golf?
I mean, so I say this all the time. I don't like live golf. I know it's impossible to keep the politics out of it, but let's just talk from a golf perspective. Like guaranteed no money, no cut events are just not my jam. I don't care if they're on live. I didn't watch a single second. That's not a lie. Not watch a single second of the Tournament of Champions. Not one. I didn't see a shot outside of social media. Obviously, I watch clips and stuff like that, but I did not turn on the Tournament of Champions on the PGA Tour. I just don't have much desire for guaranteed events where everyone's already paid before they tee it up. It's just not for me. So that goes for PGA Tour. I won't watch signature events this year. Just don't have any desire to watch that. Won't watch live much. But
Uh-oh, there's a sliver
I
in
always
there,
say,
though. There's a
what?
sliver in there. You said, I won't watch them
No,
much.
no, no.
So you've
Here's what
watched them.
I've watched them for sure. What I'll say, Matt, is like I don't blame any of the players that went over there, right? Like I especially guys like James Piot or Chase Koepka or Kevin Na, even like middling of the road, Cameron Tringali. Like I get it. Harold Varner, his statement was like perfect. Like, hey, this is life changing money, generational wealth. Uh, so, do I blame guys for going over there? No. Do I wish it was different? Yes. Uh, do I wish golf would just figure it out and get it together? Yeah. I'm not a live fan, but I don't blame players for going there. I just don't want to. I don't get the team thing. I don't know what like it just hasn't worked yet. Maybe it will. I think free agency and trades could be a thing if they could make it work. Um, yeah, I'm not a fan of no cut events. It's all there is to it. Now, I will say there is rumblings that Liv is going to have a Monday qualifiers at some point, whether that's this year or if, well, they don't have to. As the OWGR stands now, they need to have some sort of qualifying process. So if they do that, man,
You're
that
in.
will be very, very interesting because, if you get into a live event, you're guaranteed 120,000 minimum. So if they did like a team of Monday qualifiers, that would really pique my interest because that would be truly now for those listening that don't know Monday qualifiers. You Monday qualifier PGA Tour event, you still have to make the cut to make any money. You don't get the $5,000 stipend, you don't get anything else. So you still have to go play well for at least 2 days. At a live event, Monday qualify, and you're guaranteed 120,000. I mean, that keeps a guy's career going for 2.5 years, right?
Yeah.
Like it's truly career changing, truly the opportunity of a life changing money. And if they do that, I will definitely be watching a ton more just to see what those guys would do.
Yeah, I lost respect for the team side of things when Matthew Wolf was traded for Taylor Gooch, and just straight up.
Yeah,
It's just like that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever other than, oh, I'll have him on my team. Oh, okay, I'll take him. It's like these guys, they don't care about the team aspect as much as they've talked about it. But it is pretty cool to hear that there may be a Monday qualifier in there, and that could be game changing for a lot of pros. And you're right, because I did hear that they're going to this year have 3 individual players that are not on teams that will be playing in events. So that
yeah,
kind of goes hand in hand.
yeah. And I thought their Q school again, like Kieran Vincent played at Liberty University, and played on the Asian Developmental Tour. For those that have no pro golf, that is way down the list of places. You are playing in the middle of nowhere in Asia for no money. And then got in the Asian Tour and won. Then went to Q school, got through. And it's literally, I mean, that is truly life changing. Like
Yeah.
he's going to make $4 million if he plays like shit this year. Uh, he's on Rom's team. Uh, Rom was in the running for Wyndham Clark by some rumors. There's other rumors of other PGA Tour members that are going there. So it's like, I mean, that guy is going to be part of a very good team. He's probably going to make 4 million, could make 40 million. I mean, it's a truly life-changing thing. So I thought Q School was really good because, again, on the PGA Tour, and I like this aspect. I'm not discounting this side of the PGA Tour. It's like you still got to go, like, play well, keep your card, all of those things. On LIV, like, it is truly life-changing money as soon as you tap in and get your card. Like, you don't have to play that well. And for guys like Kieran, you know, that is huge. It's I mean, again, I know a lot of players say they don't play for money. It's part of it. It's part of it. And for guys that don't have any money, that is huge. Like, to be able to play without the financial aspect hanging over you can free you up a ton. So when you have a 6-footer for your rent payment or your car payment, it's a little bit different. So
That it is.
getting
Or when
through
you
LIV
have 3 cents left
yeah,
in your car and you're like,
exactly.
gosh, I don't have enough money for a double cheeseburger at McDonald's. How am I
Yeah,
going to eat today?
yeah, that 6-footer gets longer. So you know, again, I think there's interesting aspects of LIV. I just not no cut events aren't for me.
The one interesting thing that I heard too, and this came from Phil's interview on the Pat McAfee show, is that he's talking about the fact that they have plans. And granted, you could always talk about, oh, we've got these grand plans, but of building these facilities for each of the teams, but to give guys the opportunity, young guys coming out of college and so forth, to train at those facilities, be paid salaries, and allow them to develop into better players. I've always said that's one thing that golf misses. Like, to only have guys, and granted, we do get great stories, right? Of, struggles, and then all of a sudden they have success. But I've always thought, and I liked when the PGA Tour added that stipend in there for guys that, don't make a ton of cuts and so forth, that have their tour cards. But I would really love to see some type of developmental league to where guys can actually hone their craft and work up to that level rather than having to be at that level in order to survive. Like, there's so many guys that have so much game that had to give it up.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it has some openness to it, but I think pro golf is probably headed there at some point. It's like a handpicked AAA team, uh, but I hope it's still open. You know, one thing I will say about LIV that I think they've done well is develop the Asian tour and made it a viable option for guys who are, trying to get to that top and make it a livable tour. The international series is good, and you can make a living on the Asian tour. And the more tours out there in the world that guys can make a living, just a better chance that, a few of them are going to break through. So um, definitely they've done good things. It's not all negative.
No, and I'm glad you said that, because it's not. And people, for a long time, lot of people listening to this podcast that love LIV Golf thought that that I was a big hater of LIV Golf, and I'm like, I've actually watched every single event. Like, I actually will cover it. And granted, we make some fun of it, but at the same time, I'm not a hater. Like, I like certain aspects of what it's doing to the game of golf, but at the same time, there's other aspects that I absolutely hate about it. And I hate what it's done, the divide with everything, and some of the ridiculous money that's being paid out, almost $1 billion being paid to somebody. But there is one thing that I do need to say. You brought his name up. I was on the phone today quite a bit with people around Wyndham Clark, and I can confidently say he is not going. And it is not the money that was the reason why, because they met his price apparently, but he is not going to end up on good old Rahm's team. So I'm not quite sure who that fourth guy is going to be. Tony was in the conversation for a while, but they ended up not meeting Tony's number. So who knows? Who knows who's going to get this bag of money that's going to get sent over? I have a feeling it's going to be somebody that is not significant that comes over onto John's team.
They're going to have to hurry. It's about, we're about what, 2 weeks away from
2.
I mean, we better get cracking. They might have to have a Monday qualifier to fill John's team over there.
I mean, they're going to have to start reaching for some straws in a second. But they also came up with a team name for John. So the Legion of Doom. Oh no, that was one of my favorite WWE tag teams. Sorry. They're the Legion 13, I guess. I mean, apparently this is like historic and everything. I'm not a history buff. So when I first heard it, I kind of laughed at it. I was like, what the hell are we doing here? You know, you got the Range Goats going up against Legion 13. Okay. But yeah, just needed to put that one out there for the people. Legion 13 is John Rahm's team because we haven't talked about it on this podcast yet. So there's that. And let's open it up to the audience. So audience, this is your opportunity to ask any questions that you have for Ryan, myself, to jump in here. Looks like, so Paul has just asked a question around what is your favorite cheating story that has happened that you've covered?
I mean, I'll take a serious side of it is like the answer is none of them because, you know, I know these stories have a profound effect on these guys' life and career. But also, you know, it is like the Justin Doden story in Canada could have affected a lot of players' careers had he erased the score. He admitted it in a tweet. If he had gotten away with it, there was guys that were going to miss the cut because of that, and the reshuffle was just happening. It literally could have ended players' careers. And so, you know, do I feel good about writing that story? No. Do I feel bad? No. It's just part of the job. And it needs to be written because hopefully if there's someone out there thinking about cheating, then they see the fallout from that. You know, Justin will always have to answer those questions. The other guys that I've written stories about when it comes to honesty will have to answer those questions for the rest of their career. And I'm not proud of that or don't feel like great about it. But again, I don't feel bad about it. I make sure that it's accurately reported and do that. But I don't have a favorite one because it's no fun to report those stories, but it's also part of my job and I think it's important.
Who's the guy that had a million hole-in-ones? It was the huge controversy.
Yeah, his name's Matt Moroz.
Yeah,
he got DQ'd. He got DQ'd at Q school, and they went. The section went out and found some balls that he said were that he had found that were lost, and
that whole story had me going.
Oh,
I had so actually it was at the Shriners Monday Q. I'm not going to drop in any names, but those guys not only knew him, but like one guy, he's like, we've known that he was a cheater for so long. And Aaron here in the comments because Matt Moroz is an all-timer. Come on. Love that. But we've also got Garrett here. He's asking, what's the best gambling story you have while playing with a pro? No need for names.
There's not a ton of like on-course gambling that I've been a part of, like in the middle of an event. I will tell you, I caddied in the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and Ben Rector, who's a Grammy-winning song, was Peter Jacobson's partner. And he and Mark Baldwin, who I was caddying for, had a bet. And Mark made the cut, and they were playing like closest two. on a few holes, and Ben Rector is a stick and like was killing us. I mean, absolutely killing us. So uh, there's good bets. There's like going to make the President's Cup team for a few $1,000 that players have between them. I don't have a ton of good gambling stories.
I feel like the Corn Ferry Tour, you're not going to have a ton of good gambling
Yeah, you
stories
don't.
out there because guys
Yeah,
are like, no, I need my money, man.
yeah. There's just not a ton. Like, there's not a ton of money out there, so it's not a ton of good money games. Like, you know, normal stuff, but it's very minimal amount. I haven't been part of like a big money match.
I'll tell you, on the Butch Harmon Vegas tour while it was around, and I played on that for a season. There were some side bets that would go on there because the purses weren't huge or anything. You win an event, you win like 16 grand, which was actually big at the time for like a mini tour event. But yeah, there were little side bets, and there were bets from hey, next event, let's go out and have some drinks and see who can actually tee it up tomorrow. So there were some
Yeah.
of those as well. And no names needed for Garrett there, so we didn't share any real names on that other than, some of the more PC gambling stories. But what else you guys got for us here? Looks like, oh gosh, more people want more info on, what is, and I'll kind of rephrase one of these questions here in terms of, not your favorite cheating story, but what's kind of the, like, were you surprised by how many people cheat out there in pro events?
Yes, tons. I have a rule that uh, it's my own rule is that you have to put your name on it if you want to accuse a player of cheating. And so, there's plenty of cheating stories that I haven't uh, printed because the player in the group or in the event wouldn't put his or her name on it. And yeah, it's been pretty eye opening to see how often it's happening. If half of the stories that I've heard are happening actually happen, yeah, there's not often I go a month without hearing at least an allegation of some sort of cheating, whether it's blatant cheating or you know he teed up in front of the tee marker and then said he didn't or whatever. Uh, it there isn't a month that I usually there's not a month that I don't hear about it. So it
Wow,
happens
too
way
much.
more than you think.
That that is surprising, but not at the same time.
I mean, the
There.
fact is, Matt, as like for those that don't know mini tour golf, it's very easy to cheat in mini tour events and Monday qualifiers. There's no fans. There's three rules officials across the entire golf course. There's not a lot of caddies. So you're talking maybe 50% at a Corn Ferry Monday. I mean, quite frankly, it's pretty easy to cheat. And so there's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of like, why does that guy always shoot 66s? Those kind of things. And there's also like, hey, I know for a fact he cheated. I'm like, okay, put your name on it,
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like people don't understand uh that it's the opportunity is there more, so it happens more. Like on the PGA Tour, there's shot tracer, tracker, and all of those things. And a Monday qualifier, there's you and two other dudes, and maybe one or two caddies, and zero fans. And once every 6 hole, there's a rules official. So the opportunity is there. So players who are desperate take more chances to do such things.
Well, it's also crazy that it happens on the PGA Tour too, and yet there's cameras and everything around. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of nuts to see that, especially at this level. But here comes Jeff with Jeff Mossbrucker. I believe I said that correctly, if I can see it properly. Sorry, Jeff. I know you're a longtime listener here, but can a graduate of the Corn Ferry Tour who can't get a spot into the PGA Tour event play last minute somewhere else, or no, because they didn't ask for a PGA Tour release?
They can only play a Corn Ferry event uh, without a release. so they can't go to like an Asian Tour event or anything like that. But this week it doesn't line up. But say the Corn Ferry event and the PGA Tour event lined up, and they were Thursday through Sunday, then you could, if you're second or third alternate, and Wednesday night you decide I'm going to go fly down to the Corn Ferry event and play, you can do that as long as you've committed. You can commit to both the Corn Ferry and the PGA Tour as long as you're not in at that time, and then withdraw from the Corn Ferry event if you get into the PGA Tour event, or fly down to the Corn Ferry and get in. But the rule on the Corn Ferry Tour is 15-day release to play in any other event, 45 if you're on the PGA Tour. So you need to plan well ahead if you're trying to get a release to play an Asian Tour event or something to that. And you can't play LIV because you still get suspended.
Jeff, great question, man. I didn't know that. So that's all new info for me as well. Great stuff there. And I believe this is just a comment from Garrett, but Garrett Winder, he says that some guys just have it in them. They cheat. Always have, always will, even reverse sandbaggers. Oh, don't get me started on the handicap system here, Garrett. I've been trying to get mine north of 1. I've been trying so hard, and yet I'm still like trying to make 3-footers. It's not like I'm sitting there missing them, but gosh darn it, the handicap system, man, it is. I don't know how these sandbaggers do it. They must play a crap ton of golf. That's all I can say.
Garrett, I will tell you that I've written a lot of people like Justin Doden from Canada and didn't have a lot to say. Every other cheating story that I've written, I get a lot of, yeah, I'm not surprised, or here's the story about that guy at some other event. So yes, it's usually a reputation that catches up with them versus like a one-time thing. But Justin seemed to be an outlier from what I've gathered. But most of the time, you're 100% correct. It's eventually catches up with them.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it. But if anybody's got any last questions, come on, because we're going to wrap it up. I've taken plenty of time from poor Mr. Ryan French here from Monday Q Info. And I am very grateful, by the way, Ryan, for you coming on, spending the time with us, spitting that knowledge at us, letting us know. And man, keep doing what you're doing by following these Monday Qs. I mean, I'm an addict now. I follow all your Twitter posts at this point and all the articles. So really appreciate it. And Garrett just has one last thing to say. He said, Justin seems legit. So
yeah,
we got that.
I think he made his tweet was, I think it was a genuinely terrible mistake, and I hope he gets back one day.
Love that. Well, Ryan, let the people know where can people find you. I know you've got a podcast for yourself as well, so let everybody know the Twitter handle or X, the website, the podcast. This is your chance to let everybody know where to find you.
Yeah, just go to Monday Q Info. All the stuff is there. Any Given Monday is my podcast. MondayQ.com is my website. And yeah, thanks for having me on, Matt.
Hey, it's my absolute pleasure. I want to once again say thank you to Swannies wearing their gear tonight. They sent this out. This is all fresh from their brand new Big Lake collection. And I got to tell, or Golden Lake collection, sorry. The Golden Lake collection. So make sure to use promo code PoleHookGolf25 at checkout. Get 25% off your entire order at Swannies.co. And the one thing I didn't mention in the beginning that I normally do on this is that a lot of their stuff is recycled plastics in their golf shirts and everything. So you're saving the planet by helping out Swannies. And once again, everybody, until next week, we will see you guys soon. And thanks again for listening.